Hey everyone, welcome back to another YouTube video. We're happy to have you. I'm Rachel.
And I'm Jessica, and we are the Certified Occupational Therapy Assistants at Harkla. And what are we talking about today?
Oh, so many good things. 7 tips for setting up a sensory-friendly classroom.
Let's talk about why we love having a sensory-friendly classroom.
First of all, believe it or not, everyone has a sensory system. What?
You already knew that.
Yeah.
So because everyone has a sensory system, that means that every student in the classroom can benefit from a variety of different sensory strategies. Now, every sensory system is different, so each student will benefit from different sensory strategies, but that's where having a variety of options comes into play.
So having those sensory tools available for the entire classroom can set up your students for improved attention, focus, behavior, and just overall organization of behavior, which is every teacher's dream, right?
I would think so. Then you can also use these sensory tools and sensory strategies for specific students who maybe have a harder time processing sensory input in the classroom. So benefits everyone, but some kids might need a little bit more.
Most likely, I want to almost guarantee it, but I can't say 100%, but most likely you have 1 out of 6 kiddos in your classroom who actually have sensory processing challenges, and even more have a difficult time processing input, but it's not as impactful, right, as our kiddos with maybe more along the lines of sensory processing disorder, which isn't a recognized diagnosis in the DSM, but it's still important to identify that these kiddos definitely have a harder time getting through their day, just modulating the sensory input that is bombarding their system.
Now, you might already have some of these strategies or tools in place in your classroom, but if not, we definitely recommend that you take into mind that all these students can benefit from these activities that we're going to share and maybe try them out.
Every student, not just the kiddos who are struggling more processing that input, have these opportunities and these strategies available for every student. It's also important to remember that we're not going to use them as a reward or a punishment. We're not going to say, first do your classwork, then you get a sensory break. It's, oh, your body is needing a sensory break. Okay, I've got some tools. Let's try it out, and then we can do our sit-down focus work.
Yeah, that verbiage is very important for sure to just help your students learn how their body processes input, how their bodies can learn more efficiently, and how they can just have a better day.
I feel like our kids are going to be more set up for success if they understand why their body is feeling a certain way as it relates to their sensory system. You know, when we were in elementary school, we learned about the 5 senses. Well, there's actually 3 more that impact a child's ability to learn and focus and behave. I say behave, but participate in their school activities. Those 3 hidden senses are the most impactful, in my opinion.
Yep. So we will link some information on all of those different 8 senses down below in the description, but let's jump into our 7 favorite ways to build a sensory-friendly classroom.
The first option is to include flexible seating options. So these are things like wiggle seats, they're little like air cushions that go on the chairs, therapy balls, tea stools, anything that you can modify the child's seating arrangement to offer more movement. So like our chairs, they kind of rock a little bit and move. Maybe they can bounce a little bit in their chair. If you put a bouncy band around the foot or both feet of the chairs, they can kick and move and wiggle their feet and get some more proprioceptive input that way. But any way that you can offer them adaptive seating, maybe no chair, maybe you let them stand at their table and they can do their work that way. That's the best way to do it for them. Every child is unique, and it definitely takes trial and error to figure out which adaptive seating or flexible seating option works best.
I was even thinking using like a therapy or yoga ball as a seating option. They do make specific ones that have like little legs on them, so you can kind of check those out. Or like Rachel said, just have them stand at their desk, or maybe they're able to lay on the floor while they do some of their schoolwork.
Yes, and oftentimes if you do have an occupational therapy assistant or an occupational therapist on staff in your school, then you can chat with them about some options as well.
Number 2 is to create sensory sticks. We love sensory sticks. They're so simple and so easy to use. So all you need is a marker, preferably like a Sharpie permanent marker. It writes the best. And some popsicle sticks. And what you're going to do is you're going to just write a variety of different sensory activities on these sensory sticks, and we like to separate them into calming activities and alerting activities. So some ideas might be jumping jacks, or spin in a circle 5 times and then spin in the circle 5 times the other direction. And then some calming activities might be like an animal walk or some deep pressure. So have these sensory sticks available in the classroom for your students to use when they need certain types of input.
So we actually have a free handout that we've created for our full classroom course, and it goes into how to make these sensory sticks, and we share lots of activity ideas to put on your sensory sticks. So make sure you check that out. It's going to be linked in the description below. Number 3, you're going to make sure that you're taking regular sensory breaks throughout the day. Now, you don't have to go crazy on sensory breaks. This isn't anything wild, okay? It's just getting up and moving and stretching and walking and getting a drink and just incorporating those breaks before transitions, after transitions, anything that you can do to just wake the body up and offer that transition, that movement break. Do some windmills at the desk. Stand up for 30 seconds and do the windmills for 30 seconds. Maybe have the class stomp their feet to spell their name, something like that. So it doesn't have to be rocket science. In fact, the simpler it is, the better.
Okay, number 4 is going to incorporate a multi-sensory approach to learning. This is really just incorporating different movement options or different tactile mediums to your lessons. So we love using shaving cream to practice handwriting. That's always an option. We also like using big body movements for learning different spelling words or math problems. So if you're spelling a word, you're practicing some spelling, do some jumping jacks while you say each letter, or throw a ball while you say each letter. It doesn't have to be rocket science like Rachel was saying with the sensory breaks, right? The simpler the better, but if you can get moving or incorporate music or sound or different touch items to learning, it's really going to reinforce that, and it helps all the kids.
The next tool is to incorporate visual schedules into the daily routine. So whether you are writing the schedule for the day on the whiteboard, whether you're using picture cards, we love the BrainWorks picture cards from Sensational Brain. You can print out custom sensory activities, routine-based activities, and they're all color-coded to make the child's ability to understand what they do to the sensory system a little bit easier. So adding visuals is really helpful, again, for all kiddos, not just the kiddos who are struggling more than others.
I was also just thinking, if you have your daily class schedule written on the board, but you have a couple of students who struggle with that written information and they need that visual, you can use a visual schedule just for them. Maybe it's just on their desk on a piece of Velcro, and they have that visual schedule on their desk to just help them organize their day. That's one way to use these sensory strategies for an individual student.
And for a child who needs more of that visual schedule broken down, you can use something like a first then. So first we're going to do our classroom work, and then it's time for lunch. Or first we're going to chew some gum, and then we're going to write our names. So depending on the child's age, what class you're teaching, you can use a first then schedule to make that process a little bit smoother.
Number 6 is to use calming strategies for seated work time. So once you've taken your sensory break and you've come back to your seat, have your students use different proprioceptive-based strategies to help them feel calm at their desk. These could be things like a weighted lap pad or a weighted compression vest. We do recommend chatting with your school OT before you use a weighted compression vest for your student, just because there are some contraindications with it, but can still be a great option. We also love using things like chair push-ups as like a secret way for your students to get a little heavy work while they're seated at their desk.
All right, number 7, maybe one of the most important, you never know. They're all good, right?
They're all good.
teaching self-regulation skills. And we love to teach these through visual programs. Go figure, we love visuals. So there are a lot of programs out there that you could use to teach these skills, but there are a couple that we love and we have used as occupational therapy assistants in the clinic setting as well as in the classroom setting. So the first one is the zones of regulation, and there are 4 different colors that coordinate with emotions. It's a great way to just check in with your child, with your student, say, all right, what zone are we in? How are we feeling? And if they're feeling like they're in the yellow zone, they're a little wiggly, then we can give them an appropriate sensory strategy to help bring them back to the green zone, which is feeling calm and organized and ready to learn.
Another program that we really like is called the Alert program, and this is great for younger students. And you can find all of these programs online, and you can also print out some like simple visuals, but we always recommend that if you're going to teach your students about these, or going to teach your students using these programs, that you do purchase the full program, because it comes with a whole ton of ideas that you wouldn't get otherwise. And we will link them in the description.
Yes. The next one is the Just Right curriculum, and this coordinates with the BrainWorks program that we mentioned earlier, and it is a sensory modulation curriculum, which is great for teachers, therapists in the classroom setting to go through the entire curriculum with their classroom. You also want to make sure that you are using proper verbiage, and I know that there's a lot on the internet right now with what is proper, but what we have found to be helpful with students is using expected and unexpected, and we like to replace this from using appropriate and inappropriate.
Or good or bad.
Exactly. So when we're describing an action or an activity or something that the child did, we can say, oh, that was unexpected, and then they can maybe think, well, I wonder why. How did it make my friend feel when I punched them in the face, right? Oh, that was unexpected, instead of, oh, that was inappropriate, or oh, that was a bad choice. So using that expected and unexpected verbiage can make a huge difference with your students.
Okay, there are 7 favorite things that you can use in your classroom to make it super sensory friendly. Like we said, these are great strategies for all students, but you can also personalize them for certain students.
If you are wanting to learn more about strategies to improve focus and behavior in the classroom, we did just launch a brand new course that we want you to take advantage of. It is perfect for teachers, administrators, parents can even take it, as well as therapists who are working in the school setting. And it's perfect for learning how to incorporate an inclusive classroom. It takes everything that we talked about today, plus a ton more, and it breaks it down, and we share handouts and downloads and tools and basically everything that you need in order to make an inclusive classroom.
That will be linked in the description if you want to check it out. In the meantime, make sure you share this video with your friends, your family, anyone who you think could benefit from this video, and subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Make sure that you listen to our podcast. It is All Things Sensory by Harkla. You can listen to it on all major podcast platforms, and hang out with us on Instagram as well. You can find us at Harkla_family, as well as All Things Sensory podcast, and send us some pictures of your inclusive classroom setup. We would love to see it and share it with our community.
All right, thank you so much for being here, and we'll see you next week.
Okay, bye.
Okay, I'm gonna do it.
Okay.
I don't know what to say.
I don't know what to say either.
Okay. No, you have to start. I can't do it. I can't do it.